Welcome to episode 178 of The Space in Between. I am your host, Phoebe Leona, and also the founder of the nOMad Collective. Whether you're just stopping in for the very first time or you've been with us for all 177 episodes or anywhere in between, I'm welcoming you. Welcome, my dear friend. Thank you so much for being here. It's such a joy to be back with you here at our space in between, in the space in between. We're always sort of in the space in between, aren't we? I feel like even more so these days, which I'll share a little bit more about that later. But yeah, we took a little break, and we're getting back at it. We are doing these mini, I would say, little seasons here, introducing you to more of the partners that are inside of our nOMad Collective. Retreat leaders who are also healers and spiritual teachers and space holders of transformation, which we need these space holders now than more than ever, because we're all going through like a mass amount of transformation. The world is shifting as we speak, my dear friends. Um, and we need to have these guides help us through these times. So I'm so proud. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful. And yeah, just to have so many amazing teachers and guides inside of our collective that are doing amazing things and introducing them to you inside of our podcast, inside of our community, which I'm going to share a little bit more about. But yeah, today what I'm going to do is it's just me here hanging out with you so you can get ready. And if you want to take some notes, I'm going to share a little bit of my journey, my recent last few months of being diagnosed with cancer, and some of the lessons that have come or come up once, or maybe they're the 10th time or 100th time. Um, and I'd like to just share them with you and how to apply them to your life. But before I get there, I do have a few announcements about what's happening in Nomad Land. Yeah, so as I shared, our collective, we are spacers, holders of transformation. So we do have guides inside of our container that you get to meet here on the podcast. But we also have a community of seekers. I mean, we're all seekers, really. If you're here and you're hanging out and you're curious, you're a seeker. But specifically, leaning in, wanting to receive the support of these healers and holders of transformation and spiritual teachers. So we have created a membership for our seekers out there. And this is ridiculous, my friends, because we feel so strongly about the power of community and the need for the resources that we have inside of our community, specifically our nOMad Collective community, that we're giving you all access to our Seekers membership, which I'm going to tell you what that is in a moment, but it's only $12 a year. $12 a year. That's $1 a month. What's inside this Seekers membership and who is it for? Inside our Seekers membership, this is for, like I said, anyone who needs more resources. Like you're feeling like you're lost, you're confused, you're, you know, over the chaos, and you need somewhere to go and lean into. You need some support. This is for you. So what we do inside the Seekers membership is you get access for $12 a year, $1 a month, is that you get access into our membership portal that has a number of on-demand programs to support you. But then what we also are offering is a weekly gathering to support you as well. And these are sessions with our nOMad guides. We have a couple times a month. And then we also have a networking call where you just get to come and hang out and introduce yourself and get to know people inside of our community. So you have access to our community live and also on demand. And then you also get discounts, like ridiculously amazing discounts to the retreats that our guides are hosting around the world. This means if you spend $12 for the year, you could potentially but save $200 to $400 on one retreat, per retreat. So if you're thinking about going to Breeze retreat, which is actually sold out, um, you could have saved, a couple $100 there. And then going to Greece with Amanda, you could save another, I can't remember how much she's doing, $300 there, let's say. Um, so you're saving money on each retreat you're going to just by paying $12 for the year. And you're getting so much other support year round, whether you go on a retreat or not. So, Seekers membership, there's a link in our show notes. Go click on it. Even if you're just like, I'm not sure if I'm going to go on a retreat, but I like hanging out with you, Phoebe, and the people that you hang out with, they're cool. Why not spend $12 for the year and hang out with us more? And we get to see your beautiful face and not just hear ours. Yeah. And then for my dear friends who are, consider yourself a guide, being a healer, a spiritual teacher, a space holder of transformation, and you're considering hosting a retreat or you've been hosting retreats and you want more support, we do have our doors open for our guide partnership. And I can tell you more about that if you're interested. You can follow the link here to learn a little bit more and book a call with me. And also, if you're out there and you host, you have a retreat center that hosts retreats and you like our vibe, reach out to me too, because we also have partnerships with retreat properties. Okay, those are announcements. Shifting into some storytelling and some lessons to share with you today. So, um, back at the very end of August, um, you know, I was laying in bed and I was just like, feeling my body, and I realized that my rib cage felt, like it was like really protruding around my breast. And I had my partner like feel, and I was like, is that my rib cage or is that a lump? And immediately we both realized that um there was a lump there and I needed to go take care of things. So I went to the doctor, I got a biopsy, and immediately my life shifted. And I was diagnosed with stage one prognosis, but stage two anatomical breast cancer, meaning that the the lump was rather big in relationship to the rest of my breast. Um, and it felt like that was early September. It felt like from September to December. So there was about 2.5 months or 3 months of many doctor's appointments, many different procedures, and checking out, doing tests, figuring out how bad, quote unquote, it really was, because every single time we were taking a test, it seemed to get worse. Like it got worse and worse. So I had a the test for the BRCA gene, which my aunts and both of my aunts have and were diagnosed with breast cancer and were survivors of. And I had that test years ago because of that. So I thought, oh, I was clear of this, but there were other gene mutations out there that I hadn't been tested for. So we found out that I did have, in fact, another gene mutation that could potentially, have led me to being diagnosed with this cancer. Um, And then as we kept going, it just seemed like there was more to it. We were seeing that it wasn't just in my duct, but it was also, invasive, and it was bigger than they thought. So it went from, oh, you might need a lumpectomy and hormone therapy, to no, you should have a double mastectomy and hopefully you don't need chemo, to okay, I ended up doing just one mastectomy because I wasn't ready to do the both, just mentally, emotionally, and physically. So we just did, okay, we're going to do this one mastectomy. And then after the mastectomy, we realized, oh no, it's in my lymph and we need to do an aggressive chemo. to make sure it's not there anymore. And then also because of this gene mutation, um, to make sure it never comes back. So I'm sort of here I am in the space in um, between the mastectomy and between chemo that will begin January 30th and a very long road ahead. Um, the long road ahead being 6 months of chemo, radiation, and then because it was her negative. If you don't know what that is, don't worry. I pray that you never have to do this research on breast cancer, but it was hormone receptive positive. So, estrogen and progesterone were the culprits most likely of why I got this type of breast cancer. So, because of that, there is going to be also an aggressive hormone therapy on the other side of everything, and then another mastectomy at some point um, between radiation and the hormone therapy. Um, so I have a long way to go, about 2 years of the CDK inhibitors, and then until I'm 55, I will get a shot in my butt for hormone therapy to keep me in menopause. So all that to say, it's been a lot. Um, I'm having a good day today, so can tell you this story without breaking down in tears. But there are definitely days where I just burst out in tears and can't imagine that this is where I'm at. And so many lessons, so many lessons from this journey. And that's basically what I want to share with you, whether you have gone through cancer or are going through cancer or know somebody who has cancer, or God bless you, never have to go through cancer, but maybe you can kind of sit with this too and just contemplate this in your healthy body. Um, on how to just embrace your life and make the most of it. Um, so the very first thing I felt, I mean, there was a lot of fear that came up. There was a true amount of just fear and also anger. I mean, I think it was probably like the first weekend that I had the diagnosis, and I had a partner at the time, and I just woke up and I was like, I need to scream. I need to go somewhere and I need to scream. And he took me out into a field that he was like the steward of this land. And I just screamed like at the top of my lungs. And it was just like really intense for myself and for him too. And I was screaming at him, and I was almost like kind of pounding on his chest. And I was angry. I was angry. I was hurt. I was fearful. Um, just being a human and having this and thinking that I was safe from it, and thinking, I'm a healthy person. I do all the right things. I have a really clean diet. I exercise all the time. I'm a freaking healer. I'm here to help other people. I know these things. I am a somatic practitioner. I know about how the body holds the stories. I know about dis-ease in the body. And like, this shouldn't be happening to me. So there was a lot of anger around that. There was a lot of resentment. There was a lot of shame and guilt that came through it too. Is like, I should have known. And then I went through the whole journey of like trying to figure out how this happened, like energetically, going back to my past, figuring out how I called this in, figuring all the stories that I went through, all the relationships that I had, all the possibilities, all the food that I ate, didn't eat, whatever. Like trying to map out everything and sort of controlling it. Um, so the first thing that I had to do was just first let go of the shame, let go of the guilt. That screaming was freeing me of the anger that I had inside of me. Um, there was a lot of crying, there were a lot of tears to just say, unfortunately, these kinds of things happen. And I don't say that lightly. Um, we can be at a very high frequency and doing all the quote unquote right things. Um, but our soul signed up for these lessons and these gifts and these hard times. And we have to trust that they are being revealed exactly when they're supposed to be. I mean, when it was revealed to me, it was like finally everything in my life was falling into place. Like I had a rough few years just financially and figuring out what we were doing with nOMad. I was even like, if you listened, back in 2020, 2023, what year are we in? Yeah, 2023, I was even contemplating like, am I just dispersing nOMad? Maybe it's just like I throw in the towel and give it up. Um, but then I restructured it and I was like, okay, things are shifting. This is looking good. This is what we're supposed to be doing. Um, I felt my heart being called to Beacon, back to Beacon, the Hudson Valley, which has been my home for so many years. And I was feeling that pull back to it. And then I was, finally had good reason to move back here. So all these little things that were struggles and challenges for me were falling into place. Even had a beautiful partner that, we were building a life together. And it was like, oh, okay, it's all clicking into place. And then the C word lands into my body. Um, so I had to let go of the shame and the guilt and the feelings of like, I am not good enough, or why is this sort of like happening to me? That victimhood, right? That victimhood. Um, and so I just ask you kind of like where you are on your journey right now here today. Again, you don't have to, and I pray that you don't have to be dealing with a disease like cancer to be contemplating this, but like where in your life right now can you let go? Just let that shit go. The shame, the guilt, the anger. How can you fully like release it? Like embody it, but then let it go and let it flow through you. Write a letter to that person that you're angry at. You don't have to send it, right? Shake out your physical body. Um, and if you're like in it right now, right? Let go of the things of like, oh, I should have done this, this, and this. Or I must have called this in upon myself, right? Let that go. Let the shame, let the guilt, let it all flow off. It's all in the past now. Your soul said, tapped you on the shoulder and said, you are supposed to be here right now. And you're ready for this lesson. You're ready for these hard times. You've got this. So that was the first lesson that I needed to learn, was like, I didn't have to look back at the past and feel angry and hurt and shameful about it, but just like, okay, these are, it seems like the ideal situation for life to begin and like be cool. But my body was like in the right place at the right time for me to be able to go through this journey of cancer when I'm still young and I still have relatively healthy body to, fight it and continue to flourish and grow beyond it, right? As opposed to maybe being older and having to deal with it. Um, so I had to trust that I was in the exact place at the right time for this journey to unfold. With that came a lot of, and does still every single freaking day, a lot of letting go of the control and surrender. The surrender into the unknown. And this has been happening in lots of different waves. So I would say, yeah, it was first like letting go of the control of the diagnosis. Like I did not want to hear the doctors, and I was just like trying to control how they were going to treat me. I was trying to look at the alternative medicines that could, heal me in a natural way so I didn't have to lose my hair or go through surgery and feel the trauma of my body that I felt earlier in the year when I had to have another surgery. So, but I had to really surrender to that control, to surrender to that possibility of not having the answers, right? We're in a funny place now because information is so available to us, whether, like I said, I'm a healer. I'm blessed to be around so many different healers who have their own opinions, who've had their own experiences direct with cancer, whether it's themselves or their patients or their clients or their relatives, and they helped them in some way or saw some miracles, or books that I've been reading, like the work of Joe Dispenza. Um, and sometimes that can hinder us, and sometimes because we have so much knowledge that we think, oh, okay, I can overcome this, right? I have so much knowledge to fix this. um but there is also this level of surrender to, okay, maybe I don't have to do the things. Maybe I don't, like, I was getting up that first couple of months, I was literally getting up at like 5:30 every morning to meditate for multiple hours a day. I was like, I'm going to meditate this cancer away. But what I was noticing was my mind was so focused on that that it was actually making more stress in my body, in a sense. Even though I was meditating, I was like, but I had such a, like, I talk about this a lot, like a death grip on like what I really wanted, that I was actually not creating any space. Like I was using meditation as that like thing to like battle it out and control the outcome. But really, all I needed to do was just like go to sleep, get general anesthesia, let the doctor take care of it, right? Um, and didn't have to do the things. I just needed to surrender to what was here. And so, if you're a control freak like me, I offer that to you too, is like, where are you still, even though you think that you are um, trying to hold on and not controlling the moment, where can you let go a little bit more? And then can you let go a little bit more? And then can you let go a little bit more? And just see and surrender to the support that is really here for you. That could be a treatment, that could be a friend, that could be, um, other resources that are available to you that you're not really allowing in because you have this other perception of how it's supposed to be, whatever it is in your life. So, how can you let go of that control and be open to other options? And that kind of leads us into, people are always telling me, like, you've got to fight this thing, you've got to fight cancer. And I'm a fighter, I'm a warrior, right? So there's a story I just told earlier this week that kind of wraps up Phoebe in a nutshell. And that is, when I was in third grade, my dad got a Bouvier for us, a very big dog, right? About 100 pounds, I believe. And I don't remember how much I weighed at the time, but I was a small third grader. So I would say, like, I don't know, between 50 and 70 pounds. Definitely more than, I weighed less than the dog, right? The dog was 100 pounds. I definitely weighed less than that. And this dog, my dad had it shipped from California to Maryland. It was like a purebred Bouvier, so it was like a big deal that we were getting this dog. And I was so excited. And I wanted to take charge. And I was like, Daddy, I want to walk this dog. And he was like, no, no, no. Like, this dog is so much bigger than you, Phoebe. And I was like, no, no, I want to walk this dog. So I was so determined to walk this dog by myself, like all alone. And he was like, okay, this is the deal. You can walk down the end of the street at the traffic circle, and then you can walk back. But if this dog runs, like if it chases after a squirrel or just goes rogue, like, you freaking let go of that leash. Like, I don't care about the dog. I care about you. I don't want you to get hurt. So just let go of the leash. We'll figure out the dog situation later. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I walked down to the end of the street, hit the traffic circle, turned around, and I'm about halfway home. And I'm doing a really good job. And guess what? You know it. The dog sees a squirrel and he takes off. And not only does he take off like could have taken off through a patch of grass, but no, he took off across a gravel driveway and he dragged me. I did not let go. I did not listen to the rules. I fought and held onto that freaking leash and I was like, "No, Edgar, you're gonna follow me." So, but he pulled me down and he dragged me across the gravel and then I got back up to my feet and I jerked the leash and I was like, "Hey, come on, let's go home." And so then I walked down the rest of the way. My dad's at the end of the driveway and he's just laughing at me because he already knew what was going to happen. Um, and I had like gravel embedded in my knees and blood just dripping down my legs. But I had this big smile on my face because I was so proud. Like I was like, I didn't let go of this dog. And I was a fighter. Like I was like, I'm not letting this thing go. And that's sort of my MO. It's like if I believe in something, especially if it's something that I really want to do, um, yeah, I'm sort of stubborn and I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna fight for it. But with this journey, this health journey that I'm on right now, it's like I don't know if that fighting energy is the energy that I need right now. Some people who are on that journey might need it. In fact, I'm reading a book right now about it's called Cancer, the Turning Point, I believe. And he was saying that there's actually a lot of studies out there that are proving like the ordinary patients in the hospitals, the ones that are like, giving the nurses a hard time and like they actually have a better survival rate than the ones that are just like, I'm good. Because they're not really speaking up for themselves and telling them what they need. But the ornery ones are like the ones that are like feisty. Yeah, they're fighting for their life. They're like, I want to get out of here. Like I've got things to do. Um, and I'm like that, but like I don't necessarily want it feels like that's a lot of extra energy for me right now. And I feel like for me, I need to honor the surrender. Like not in a surrender where I'm giving up. It's just honoring the quietness of this experience, honoring um yeah, honoring the times that I need to rest because I don't usually do that. I usually like want to do all the things. Um, so that's something for all of us to look at is like, how do you normally fight? Right? Do you do the free, fight, flight, or freeze? Right? And maybe when you're in a challenge, maybe it's time to shift that a little bit, right? Or negotiate a little bit there of like maybe I usually am fighting really hard, but now I need to surrender a little bit. Or maybe I don't like to fight and I'm going to avoid it and everything's going to be it's fine, it's fine. And now I need to like be a little bit more fire under the ass and determined to get shit done, right? So is there somewhere we can adjust our fighting energy, right? The biggest takeaway from this book that I'm reading that I was just sharing, I haven't read the whole thing yet, but it's also interesting too that I'll share is my teacher, one of my very first teachers in the yoga world, Elizabeth Dare Andes now. Um, she's been my teacher for over 20 years and now a very dear friend. She's also going through the same health journey at the very same time, almost the same exact diagnosis. It's really weird and wild. But she handed this book off to me, Cancer, the Turning Point. I hope that's correct. I'll put it in the show notes if it is not. It's for specifically for not only cancer patients, but also families of cancer patients and also caregivers or health um, professionals who aid with cancer patients. Um, but so far as I'm reading it, the biggest like question that he's asking is, okay, so you're in this place of having cancer, this dis-ease, right? Dis-ease in your life, right? It's not just in your body, but there's some sort of dis-ease in your life. And so how can we use this as an invitation to look at how do you want to live your life, not only on the other side of cancer, but now through this disease? How can you find the zest for life now? What has it been lacking? Have you been lacking your own imagination, um, or lacking the belief that you could possibly live your dreams? So it's something that I'm exploring now because on a deeper level, because I feel like I'm a rather passionate person, and I feel that I have a lot that I'm grateful for and that I give and I also receive, but there must be still something a little bit, and again, not coming from a place of shame or guilt because not playing that game now, but there's something there that it's like, okay, maybe there's something even more unconscious that I'm like, I've been settling with. Yeah. Um that I can embody even more. And so I've been kind of looking at, you know, when I tell my stories, like I definitely feel like I'm a storyteller. And when I tell my stories, um, there's always still like this, even just here now. I'm like sharing with you. It's usually a hard story that I'm living. Like a lot of heavy shit has happened in my life. And I've been able to see the positive of it and make something out of it, something good out of it. That is a gift that I have. But what I feel like I want to embody even more through this experience is not only the lightness of it, like finding the lightness and the dark and heaviness of it, but also like experiencing like just like complete absurd like joy and laughter and yeah, finding even just like more humor in it all and embracing the humor in it all. So I was thinking about there's a storytelling workshop that happens in this town. I just found out about the artichoke storytelling. They do storytelling every other month here, and I just heard that he does workshops. So I'm like, oh, maybe I want to start to tell like funny stories. Like maybe that's what I need, is to like bring a little bit more humor into these experiences and make it even lighter and more joyful. So that's something that I'm exploring, because like even when you kind of get lost, like I get like lost in the chaos and like, oh my God, like maybe it's not so much embracing the hard times and the chaotic times, but maybe like embracing more of the light and joyful and just absurd and funny stories that I have, because I have a whole bunch of like completely absurd funny stories, but I don't tell those as much. So kind of leaning into that a little bit is something I'm exploring in terms of the zest for my life. So yeah, those are some of the lessons that I've learned so far. I'll probably share with you a little bit more as we go. Why not? If they can be of service to you. So yeah, just to wrap them up, no more shame and guilt, no more anger, right? And I'm not saying like just push it aside, right? No, feel it, bring it to the surface. But don't let it consume you, right? Don't let it consume your brain power. Try not to look back at the past and like this is something that I really am guilty of, is like try not to map out your whole past and think like I did something wrong to get where I am at right now. No, you got everything right to be here now. And like I said before, your soul is telling you you're ready for this lesson, this situation that you're in. 100%. So trust that you have all the tools and resources that you need to get through it. And then let go of the control. If you're feeling resistance to something, that might be an invitation to let go a little bit more and see a new perspective. And then looking at like, how do you fight? What does fighting look like for you? And has it served you up until now? And maybe there's an opportunity to renegotiate it a little bit. Yeah. To surrender a little bit more, or to put that fire in it a little bit more, whatever it might be for you. And then just to ask yourself, you know, how are you not living right now? How can you embrace more of the zest of life? If you had any sort of dis-ease, right, how can you find more ease right here, right now? We could all, I mean, we're all dealing with some sort of dis-ease, whether it is a diagnosis or not. We all have some sort of mental, you know, unease, if we don't want to make it sound like it's a disease. Like there's always some sort of unease in our lives. Nobody's perfect, right? So how can we move into a place of ease? With all of that said, the reason why I do feel like I am, one of the reasons I feel my soul is chose to be in this place right now is because I know that I chose to be a guide here, to be a part of the journey of transformation that we're all going through collectively. And, we're watching, or maybe even completely affected by it, right? If you live in LA, you're experiencing the fires, or you're witnessing them from afar. We're all in the United States about to experience the shift of power, in terms of politics. But I want to emphasize this. If we're looking at the shift of power, I want to de emphasize it's the shift of power in politics and emphasizes the power shift within you. Whoever is up there that was elected or not, right, has no real power over you. And so that's what I hope this lesson that we're learning right now is that we can take our power back, and how we're going to think, how we're going to feel, how we're going to interact with our external world and all the people that are in it. We get to choose how we're going to show up in the world and how we're going to feel and be in the world. Um, so we're all collectively going through some sort of purging, right? Fire is like a purging, it's like a burning away of all that is wrong, right? The impurities, right? We have this word tapas in Sanskrit, in our yoga philosophy. This idea of tapas is like burning away the impurities. It's the fire that's cleansing the earth right now. It's devastating to see so many people losing their homes, but it's also regenerating. There's going to be regeneration on the other side. We just don't know what that looks like yet. So just feeling into this, the collective, like I said, I feel my soul is like, yeah, you're going to go through this on like a very, like, you're like on a microscopic level in your body, but you're going to feel that through the ripples of what's happening in the collective. And so I'm hoping that as I go through and I can share my lessons, they can be of service to you personally, but for all of us as we're continuing on through these shifts, these moments of transformation. Um, and so that brings me to like nOMad, what we're doing here at nOMad, right? We hold space for transformational experiences, primarily retreats. And I think that these transformational experiences, these retreats are super powerful and more important than ever to be a part, to like lean into and go on and give yourself that gift. Yeah, and it's not just a gift, it's almost like a necessity. I almost feel like retreats are the new rehab. You don't have to be an addict or cancer patient to go off and do your rehab. Like, no, you just need to recover from life because life is so fucking chaotic and so crazy. And there's so much embedded into our bodies and our systems and our minds that we need a break, right? That's what transformational retreats do. They give you a break. It's not like, oh, I just get to put my feet in the sand and lean back and forget my life exists. No, they're opportunities for you to actually transform how you are internally and how you're going to go back and integrate into your life, right? These retreats, transformational retreats, they give you tools, they give you resources to empower you through that transformation in that time and space, but also to empower you when you go back in and integrate into your life. They create a support system, they create a community for you so that you feel like, okay, I'm not alone in this. Right? So many times when we go through those dark nights of the soul, we feel so alone. The one reason why I'm so almost like super joyful through this experience is because I have community. I have friends who are bringing me food and taking me to the doctors. I have my nOMad guides who are like hanging out with me every single week. I have my other coworkers at the theater company cheering me on. I have my family, you know, sending me texts and, coming up to visit whenever they can. Like, I know I'm not alone. And so transformational experiences because and retreats specifically when you're in that time and space, you're all going through it together. You have that support. You have a guide that's been there and is taking you there. You have that support. You have a safe space. You have a beautiful retreat center, staff that is taking care of all your needs in that time and space. So you feel safe. You can allow your nervous system to restore. You don't have to feed yourself. You don't have to take your kids, to soccer practice. You don't have to worry about all the tasks that you have at work. You have a safe space to just let go and just focus on you, right? And then you have this new environment to help you repattern your brain, right? You can start to think differently. You can start to act differently in that time and space. And you can start to change those neural pathways so that you can go back home and become literally a whole new person. So when we talk about transformational experiences, we're not talking about just going on a vacation and having a good time in a beautiful setting. No, there's a lot there for you so that you're an entirely different person. You have an entire different life when you come home in the best possible way. So think of it as in 2025, and you're contemplating if you're going to go on a retreat this year. Think about like, do I need to go and do a little rehab? Right. Like I said, you don't have to be a drug addict. Um, you don't have to go and like do rehab like I'm going to go do in later this year for cancer, detox from the chemicals. We all do in some way. We're all addicted to something. We're all addicted to the way life is. So what's best going to serve you to help you through that rehab, right? A safe space, a guide that's been there and can guide you through it, a community, tools and resources. Those are all there inside of a transformational retreat. And we have some amazing, amazing guides that do that for you and with you here inside the nOMad Collective. So I hope that you consider giving that to yourself this year. My word for 2025 is harmony. I want to feel harmony in my body, harmony in everything that I do. And I wish that for you too. I hope that you have more harmony this year and, allow yourself to take breaks from the chaos, but then also integrate into the chaos with your own notes, right? That will make it more harmonious rather than the dissonance that chaos can be. So, yes, that is the journey for our space in between today. It's starting to get dark. I need to turn the lights on. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're like, oh my gosh, it's getting darker and darker. Yeah, so invitation to my dear friends. If you're a seeker out there, you're listening to this, you got to the end, $12 a month. Come join us inside of our community of seekers. I'm sorry, not $12 a month, $12 a year, a year, a year, a year. It's only $1 a month. So $12 a year, my friends, to hang out with us, get tools for your own transformation, get a community that's going to support you, that's going to connect with you and understand you and get you, that's going to guide you, right? And then the possibility of actually physically going to another space and have that space to recover from life, yeah, and transform into a whole new you. I look forward to seeing you next time. Hopefully, maybe you'll see me inside of the Seekers membership. Maybe you'll see me in the Facebook group we have, or just here inside of our Space in Between podcast. Next week, we will start our interviews with our nOMad guides. We have Bree, who is one of our guides. She's also our Outreach community manager. She'll be on, and then we'll have a number of other guides that were a part of our global retreat last fall that you'll get to meet. All right, have a beautiful day, my friends, and I will see you or hear from you very soon. Bye.